Hello, hello! Success Coach Amy here with another flaming hot topic from Blaze. Building a life with action, zen, and energy. So, outside in this gorgeous weather, it's a little sunny for me, there's no clouds, but I wanted to just talk to you about raising children, just in general, raising children. Have you ever heard the topic, it takes a village? Well, basically, and this is not exact, but the phrase is really that it takes a village to raise a child. And what that means is it is so difficult in 2022 to raise children these days. They're being raised so differently from back in the 70s and 80s when I was being raised. Technology has made is a big part of that. And the food that we eat and the water we drink and the air we breathe, all of that together combined is really affecting children. But it's also affecting adults in the way they raise their children. So when I talk about it takes a village, it is not just grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins and that kind of part of the village. It's also your whole community. Whether it's religious and you belong to a synagogue or a church or a mosque or anything like that, but it's also the community for resources. The school is part of your community and all that goes along with that. If you have a child with challenges, then you're probably dealing with different therapies and counselors within the school district, let alone within the community. And they're helping to raise your children as well. So it really does take a village. And if you remember, or if you ask someone who grew up closer to the early part of the century, let me rephrase that. The early part of the 1900s, I keep forgetting this is a new century. In the early to mid 1900s, you had 3 generations living in a home. Not just to raise the children, but when the parents, really the grandparents, got old enough, when they retired, they would watch the children, the grandchildren, so their kids, the parents, could go to work and be the next generation to work. So the grandparents were pretty much always around to help raise the kids. And again, that's a lot of where it takes a village came from, because there used to be 3 generations in a house. And we didn't have daycare, childcare, any of those kinds of things, preschools. You pretty much went from your home to kindergarten. And nowadays you can't do that because, mostly because a lot of grandparents are still working. Financially, it is ridiculous to try to retire in your 60s or 70s sometimes. And you do have grandparents who are working well into their 70s. To try to help pay the bills and or help with the family, whether they actually live with their kids and grandkids or not. The finances are just really, really hurting people. So right now, it's June 4th, 2022, and our gas prices are going up and down daily. Right now, we're somewhere around $4.60 a gallon. It's been so bad for the past year. It was like half that a year ago. And there's a lot that goes into that, so not going to talk about that. But that makes a huge difference when people are deciding where they're going to go grocery shopping or when they're going to go grocery shopping and what they're going to buy, because they have to be able to still put gas in the car. And daycare is still such an issue right now. It's actually destroying families, because if the parents and or grandparents can't work because of lack of childcare, yeah, it's great if they're spending time with the kids, but if they're not spending the time with the kids properly, then everybody's losing out. And that is definitely other topics of videos that are going to be coming up, which is parenting, whether you're actually the parents or the grandparents, aunts and uncles, guardians, it doesn't matter, but whoever's raising those children, the babies, the toddlers, the preschoolers, before they get into official school, it's all on their shoulders, and not everybody can handle that. And that's really pretty sad because they're not supposed to have to handle it, but because of the economy and what's been going on over the last decade or two, it's just what's happening. And it's really sad how many of our children, and again, I'm going to say up to kindergarten, so 0 to 5, are struggling once they do get into school because they either didn't have the full pre-learning with their family members because they weren't going to an official daycare or preschool. And again, not everybody can afford that. It is so expensive. And the worst part is the people who are working in those childcare centers are not even paid well. It doesn't matter what your education is. You are not paid well if you are working in a childcare atmosphere. And that is wrong on so many levels. Again, in 2022, we are really working hard. And I say we because I work for a child advocacy center. I am working with a child development center as far as helping families with children 0 to 5 figure out how milestones work, how child development works, and just talking about how parents, again, parents, grandparents, guardians, whoever's watching children, they are the first child's teacher. And I'm not saying those people have to actually teach kids to read, teach them their numbers, but that's just part of it. You just talk to the kids, have conversations with them. You say what they're doing. You repeat what they're saying. And that's how children learn to talk and learn about reading and math and just the world around them. You've got to have conversations with them. But again, part of the It Takes a Village is who is around the child on a daily basis. And it doesn't matter if it changes every day, but who are the people around, the adults that are around those children? They all have to be in on how you want your child to be raised. And if you're watching this and it's not even about your child, maybe it is your grandchild, your niece or nephew, your foster child, it doesn't matter. If you're an adult in a child's life, it is part of your responsibility to be there for them and to help teach them. And it's just really hard because people these days don't really know that they're supposed to be teaching and that they're supposed to know what to do. And again, it's not curriculum. It's not like sit down and have a schedule. Although schedules for children are helpful because then they know what's coming up and that's really good. But it's not just about that. It's not the actual education that's so important. It's about connecting. It's about connecting with that child. And again, just knowing it's what's expected of the child. They're not going to know how to brush their teeth just because they're watching you. Yeah, that's part of it, but you still need to talk to the child and explain. We're brushing our teeth to keep our teeth clean and our mouths clean and our breath fresh. And there's so many different ways you can talk to your kids about brushing their teeth instead of just saying, brush your teeth, go do it. Just go do it because I said so. As they get older, that's not going to work, trust me. The because I said so thing, yeah, definitely not with teenagers because they do know better for the most part. So anyway, it does take a village. Whoever's in your village needs to know how your child is going to be raised because you're the parent if you're the parent. And again, if you're not the parent and you're just working with that family, talk to the parent. Talk to whoever is in charge of raising the child and see what they're thinking of. And you know what? If they don't have any specific ideas or they're just not sure about any of that kind of stuff, talk to them about it and say there are resources. It doesn't mean you're a bad parent at all. In fact, I happen to think when you ask for help, that means you're a really good parent. Because if you don't know something, you have to find out the answer. I say that to my clients all the time. I don't know everything, far from it. I have 4 kids, 22, 15, and 13. So I'm finishing up the teenager stage with my 3 youngest, and I'm past that with my oldest. But I still don't know everything. I call my mom and dad all the time. I call other people who are much older than me. You know, how did this work for you? Or what do you think about this? Just getting opinions, it's really, really helpful. It's really helpful. And whether that means counseling, therapy, just going to the pediatrician, or again, just asking friends and family, ask, how's this working for you? How did you do this? And again, just because it worked for someone doesn't mean it's going to work for you, but at least ask. Try it out. That's what your village is all about. So until next time, take care. Wishing you health, wealth, happiness, and freedom.